Hey gang, welcome to another last minute July episode of Up the Middle. Lots going on, so lots to talk about, lots to discuss. Two sides at least to hear. First, don't forget to subscribe. We've got a lot going on and we want you to be a part of it. So when you subscribe to whatever platform or directory that you get us from, you'll know much earlier than everybody else who's got to do a search or wait till it appears in their feed, whatever. Subscribe to Up the Middle so you get the alert that we've got something to say and you've got a conversation to take part in. Also like, share, remember, we're building a community, we're saving a country, we're saving democracy. Yeah, it is that serious. That way, you're going to be the first to know. Yergz.com is available. Check that out. It's definitely, some of the tweaks are now over. It's a fully operational site. You can get us there. And you can find out whatever directory is your favorite has Up the Middle, as well as public speaking events and everything else that we do here at the Yergz Group. Okay, let's get into it. Jason Aldean and company, Country Music Television, has been in a pissing match with each other for about the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks to decide if, and of course, now his song has gone to number 2, which, awesome for him. With the song Try That in a Small Town, I did some research, as I always do, for today's video and today's episode, for those of you listening. This video, not me, but the video for the song, was filmed at a lynching site, a Tennessee courthouse, where back in 1927, and this is like a popular incident, it's not just like, another black guy was hanged. This was a big deal. 1927, Henry Choate, 18 years of age, was falsely accused of attacking a white girl. In case you're just joining us, Henry was black. And was hanged on the site where this video was filmed. And that's, I just found that through simple Google searches. Nothing else. I didn't call anybody. No friends. No favors called in. But what I can tell you is that after 25 years in the law enforcement community, the clandestine behavior behind organizations like white supremacists and black power movements, they're clandestine. They don't just come out and say, we're creating a racist video. They do things like location and some of the symbolism. Let's take a look at these. The photos you see on the screen, and for those of you joining via the audio-only podcast, I'll do thorough explanation. There are 2 photos, both of which come from the video. Now, it took me about all of 24 seconds. I actually looked at the counter before I stopped it because I had already made up my mind. The impression that I got was that this was racially motivated. It was less than that. Well, 24 seconds is when I stopped it. I got the impression even sooner than that. 2 of these photos are part of the reason why. The one on the left is a Molotov cocktail. It is essentially a relatively thin glass bottle that will break on contact when hitting the ground. Inside is some flammable liquid, gasoline, kerosene, something of that nature. Hanging from the opening of the bottle is a rag that is also soaked in that same flammable fluid. What that does is it allows the rag is a candle wick. It's a fuse, and that's burning thoroughly while you throw the bottle filled with the liquid. Now, if the entire rag was soaked, then the flame would go into the bottle and it would explode on your hand. But instead, the part inside the bottle is dry and they're not connected from the flame to the source, the additional source inside the bottle. What happens is you throw it, it breaks, the flammable fluid inside has made contact with the flame, and everything in that general space is engulfed in flame. Telling you all that because it's a weapon, but the hand in the video is white. And that looks like the same courthouse in the background. If it's not, the one on the picture of the right is, that's the courthouse that he's singing in front of, where he also filmed this additional footage, where what looks to me is a cross burning in the background, some sort of large bonfire. And of course, some radical with what appears to be a baseball bat, possibly wearing a hoodie. I don't know. When I saved this photo from a screenshot of the video, this is from the music video, I entitled this picture Flag, Flame, and Flannel. Anyway, like I said, I made it 24 seconds before I said, okay, I don't need to see any more of this. Blacks don't do what looked again to be a cross burning. They don't do that because they're the targets of it. Blacks don't use Molotov cocktails. I Googled that too. It was not hard. Because, as you know, I have other videos out this week. I did most of this research today, and now here I am filming. So at least do some research before you develop an opinion. Small Town versus Rearview Town. That was another title that he had back in 2018. So, I'm not saying Jason Aldean is a racist. He's a hypocrite. Because back in 2018, this was not just the title of the song, it was the title of the album. Rearview Town. Where the whole album was essentially about life in a small town, and it sucks. These types of reactions are very MAGA-like. I've seen a lot of projection, when in all actuality, it was guilt. A little bit more about a small town, by the way, having been in law enforcement. I found an article written on, I gotta scroll down, policeone.com by Miss Kathleen Diaz. She's a writer that studies the law and writes about the law enforcement community. And she and members of the law enforcement community conducted a study that found, as a law enforcement officer, you are 3 times as likely to die on the job in a small town. Rural USA. Not in the big dangerous cities. And you say, oh, that's because they're in the middle of nowhere and there's no help. Yes, that is a factor. But what was also found to be an issue is, and I'm going to quote the article in a second, that it was also for, quote, technology our SWAT team doesn't have, end quote. Sniper rifles, for an example, this was the one example that the police officer in the article used. Sniper rifles with scopes costing $8,000 or more. My question to Jason, if small town life is so good now, when was that small town life good, or when was America great? For blacks. For gays, like Matthew Shepard. Or any minority. Now, I'm not for cancel culture. Jason Aldean wants to do the song, fucking do it. Knock yourself out, dude. But I am for honesty. I'm also not for being ignorant to the obvious. Southern way of life means racism, slavery, and white power. When I think of Southern way of life, I think of Marjorie Taylor Greene. and Matt Gaetz. And as pretty as his hair is, I just want to pull mine out. For them wanting to divorce the USA. Now, granted, I wish I could have heard the conversation by the execs at Country Music Television, especially before the video was canceled. But if life in a small town is so good, why did Jason Aldean leave it in his, quote, rearview mirror? Suddenly life in a small town's awesome? Wasn't back in 2018. What's changed? And why haven't we said anything about those changes? When it comes to life being simple in a small town, I do think times were easier and more simple back in the day when the only thing that you hid behind was a hood. Play the song, don't play the song. But don't pretend that all is right in the world and that this is just a song. I'm personally against this song, as I am most of country music. Just as I remain against Cop Killer. But I'm not against the right of either of these artists to make the song and show the world what an asshole they are. That's their call, not mine. Just as it's my call who I support and who I don't. As always, do your research. That's why I couldn't give you this video earlier this week or last week when the story broke. I'm busy doing actual research so that when I speak to you, as always, I know what I'm talking about. You've been Up the Middle.